Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. This is Lunar Goddess Tarot. I'm Sarah and I'll be your intuitive guide and your intuitive reader today. So as you may have noticed, I am intermittently posting videos at this time, and I am really paying attention to the calling of the timing and ensuring that the message is ready to be received. So having said that, I've just posted my newest Patreon post, and this one talks about the passing of the baton, as Holly has phrased it, where the divine masculine becomes the chaser and the divine feminine becomes the runner. It's a significant dynamic change, and I talked about it in detail. It's on the VIP level of my Patreon. There's 3 levels, so you'll need the VIP level to access this. There's always a rhyme and a reason for why I post when I post and why I post what I post and for which level. I've also included bonus content with this post. So for those of you who sign up for this, the VIP level, not only will you receive all the VIP content, including past content, but you will also receive the workbook, this workbook that we've shared with our coaching group. It's a workbook to help you identify any areas in self-love that you may be blind to or haven't been able to access. It's about your own journey to love. What does love look like? How has this been redefined for you, being on the twin flame journey? And it's a really great resource. And as I've said before, the true healing, the true nature, the true purpose of this journey is all about your individual healing, aside and apart from the counterpart or from another person. So it's a really great resource. I wanted to give you guys a gift to just show my gratitude and to thank each and every one of you. So having said that, the link is below, and it is also, if you look at the latest community posts on my community tab on the channel, you will find a quick link as well to go over there and sign up. And you will receive much more content. Now, keep in mind that these are written posts. I do not post videos over on Patreon at this time. If that changes, I'll let you know. And I am all about quality, excuse me, I'm having trouble talking still. There's a ton of upgrades going on with the brain right now for in the running stage. It's discombobulating, but I'm all about quality. I can't even talk. God. Quality over quantity. I'm not about quantity, guys. I'm all about quality. So when I do post, it's a lengthy post. It tends to be, 10 paragraphs or more. Tends to be. They're not all going to be. I don't want someone quoting me on that. You said 10 paragraphs and it was 8. Sometimes they're shorter, but they are long posts. I put a lot of, hours of work into each post, and it's a lot of my time and my energy that I'm happy to share with you guys. So happy to see you over on Patreon. If you are looking for a private reading from me, I don't offer twin flame readings at this time. What I do offer is a Saturn retrograde reading for you individually, how that's going to affect you. That's 60 minutes. And I also have a 75-minute North Node reading. This is a reading I've been offering for 2 years or so. And it is a reading that looks at the North and South Node at the time of your birth, and it's karmic astrology. So we look at, the karma, we look at the past, we also look at gifts you brought into this lifetime, and then the North Node is all about your destined path. And what's your highest calling? What's your highest path in this lifetime? It's a great, really fun read. And that's both our calls with me, private calls, 60 minutes for the Saturn return reading and 75 minutes for the North Node reading. And I'm also just started to offer a Jupiter and Aries reading. This is, another significant placement that we have right now, another significant transit that's occurring, and where that falls in your chart. And we'll talk about how that's going to affect you. And that's a 45-minute reading. If you guys are interested in any of those, you can reach out to me. The email is listed below, and we will get that set up. I am booked until just after the first week of July. So I'm pretty booked up, but we will get you on the books, and you will have that sacred time, that private time with me, be able to ask questions, and really be able to have a deeper understanding of whatever it is that you're looking into. So I look forward to meeting you guys. And we do have another group. We're going to start signups in July for that. So it'll be probably mid to late July. We're going to start signing up for our next group. It's going to be a little different than the groups that we've had. So we'll give you more information on that. So look forward to that. But it's going to be focused on the ascension journey. And there's a reason for that, because things are getting heightened at this time. That the ascension symptoms are heightened. The runner stage is in a lot of really anxiety inducing, and we want to assist you guys with this part of the journey, as well as really assist, light workers and star seeds, divine feminines, divine masculines, are all welcome, to access the path of your highest calling, to detach, right? To unplug from the matrix, to really be able to find that place, that sacred space, that really lies within. What is it that I'm here for? What is my mission? What is my purpose? That's really where my passion lies right now, to be able to teach and provide in that way for you guys. And there's also going to be more astrology. We're going to talk about the big astrology transits that are coming up, or that are occurring around the time of that group. And so we'll talk about, eclipses. We'll talk about full moons and new moons. We're going to talk about, something like a Saturn retrograde and things, and how that's affecting, the energy. And that's something I'm really excited to share, as well as, more of the ancient teachings of what it means to be a divine feminine, divine masculine. So having said that, guys, we're looking forward to joining you in that group. It's going to be a really, as I said, it's a novelty. It's something new. It's a new perspective. It's a shift. And this is a shift that's occurring within me, and it's just reflecting on the outside in the teachings that I'm offering. In addition, you probably notice changes in my readings. There's a reason for that. I have very little focus on what the divine masculine is doing at this time, more focus on the journey, but not like the day-to-day stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and look into the cards. I've got 3 decks here. The Yogic Path, my tried and trusted friend over the past several months. I do have the integration cards, the integration deck, very powerful, very vibrationally charged deck. And then we have the Shaman's Dream Oracle as well. And while I'm shuffling, guys, we're going to start with the Shaman's Dream Oracle. Something I want to discuss is the ego. Okay, there is an ego flare-up. You may have noticed it within yourself. You may have noticed it within others at this time. There's a need to control. There's part, this is the abandonment that the feminine is working through as the masculine starts to go into healing codependency. Now the feminine is, the swap, the feminine is healing abandonment. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like anxiety. It looks like wanting to be near people, but then pushing people away. I want to be near people. I'm lonely. And then, no, I want to be alone. It looks like, the thoughts of, am I going to be alone forever? Am I going to end up alone? You may experience some fallouts with friends at this time, or family members. A lot of this will be temporary. As you heal, as they heal, there may need to be a temporary separation. Some of it will be more permanent. But there is this sort of ego flare that's occurring. So just be mindful of that in yourself and in others. Arguments are likely at this time. Part of this, I think, is a Jupiter and Aries transit that we're moving through. It's a very fiery, Aries is combative. Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war, which also rules Scorpio. It's a combative energy. It's a passionate energy. But if it's not channeled correctly, it can really make the ego go into ultra mode. And that's what we're seeing with some people. So just keep that in mind, guys. Give yourself an ego check if need be. I just wanted to touch on that. So we've got 2 cards coming up. Number 1, interesting, signals the beginning or the start of something. And then number 15. So the one I'm called to look at first is a dust devil, moving out of stagnation. So it's like dusting off, that bookshelf. It's like, wow, I didn't even realize this dust had accumulated and this much time had passed. Physicality is affected on this journey of the ascension symptoms. You may look in the mirror and notice that your face looks different, your body looks different, things are changing, things are shifting. It doesn't always look like it's for the better. This can cause a massive ego death. Also, anxiety and fear and, oh my God, I'm getting older. What does this mean? And that's another thing that we're experiencing right now. And I talk about this on the Patreon post in more detail is this identity crisis of like, who am I, what am I doing, where am I going, what is this all for? And it's like this idea that you're kind of like taking an assessment. It's a life assessment right now, and looking around and saying, God, everything dies. Like the leaves die, in the winter, and then nature is reborn. Like we all go through death, but what we're seeing is like these small little deaths. What is it called? The petite something in French. I took years of French and I can't remember anything because I never practiced it. And I wasn't very good at pronouncing it, but I can't think of it. But it's like the petite death, okay? The petite death. And I think it refers to orgasms in French. But that's kind of what's coming to mind, is these tiny little deaths that are occurring, the death of who we used to be, the death of our personality, the death of the ego, the death of the past. And you may be experiencing even physical death. You guys know that we lost one of our family cats a few weeks back, and that was a shock and a surprise that it happened so quickly. And so, we are, in essence, life is preparing for the ultimate death, like the ultimate transition. Where we exit this world, we leave the body behind, we shed the body, because we're not the body, we're the soul. So we're going through that, and the ego, it terrifies the ego. The ego holds on for dear life. So what we want to do ultimately is get to a place where there's less fear associated with death, and that's really, it's interesting. But with this abandonment runner stage that the feminine has found herself in, you're going to want to seek answers. It's seeking the answers right now. And what I'm noticing with a lot of my friends in the 3D who are starting to really rapidly awaken because of, a lot of them because of external events that have occurred in their lives, is that there's like this, oh God, I got to find something to soothe me. I just got to stay busy. One of my friends today said, I just built 2 shelves in my closet. I'm like, why didn't you just hire someone? I don't know. I need to stay busy. It's like that need for distraction, but that's abandonment. She's moving through abandonment. Like, I've been abandoned. She got out of an abusive relationship, the realization that that person wasn't at all who she thought he was, and now needing to soothe herself. But really what we need is to sit with self. We can distract ourselves in a myriad of ways, and rarely, in this crazy world, this crazy life with all this stress, do we sit and just entertain the self, and by entertain, I mean, meditate or, practice yoga. And even I've been guilty of that recently, of just not sitting still. So that's going to be a challenge for the feminine. You may find that you understand your counterpart, empathize. This does not mean, oh my God, reach out and tell them everything, spill my heart and my guts. But it's nice to have an understanding where they're coming from, and they'll have an understanding equally of where you were coming from before in the past. So that's nice. We have a tidy house here, clarity and organization. It's interesting because we have the dust devil moving out of stagnation, like clearing the stagnant energy. Some of you will be doing some feng shui in the house. Some of you will be, like saging the house, saging your energy, your car, your home, your furniture. Just feeling the call to really cleanse and clear. It's funny because you see these 2 houses and the lights are on. You see this house and it's dark. I wonder what the significance of that was for the artist. Maybe signifying that house is not, there's like a coldness exuding from this house and a warmth exuding from this house. So, feels like this is the feminine energy moving out of stagnation. Yeah, you're moving out of stagnation, but now all this energy is being churned up into like a dust bunny, right? The dust bunny contains all like the fears and insecurities and anxieties maybe you thought you had dealt with in the chaser stage, but oops, it's still there. And then the tidy house, for the masculine, I feel like it's this energy of, wanting clarity, wanting understanding. I have a client who just reached out to me today, actually, and, informed me that after about a year's separation, his counterpart had reached out. And what the counterpart had to say was like, they were thanking my client, like saying, thank you for what you've taught me. Thank you for what you've shown me. So there's a, there is change. It is happening, guys. So I like to share things like that with you so that you know that, it might feel like it's stagnant, but things are starting to move. Honestly, the best way to deal with this right now, this shift, is to accept everything. Accept, just accept. Accept your feelings, accept the anxiety, accept the curiosity, accept the fear, just accept it. Like, okay, you're a teacher. What do I have to learn? What is this emotion teaching me? What is it showing me? Don't worry so much about why it's coming up. It's coming up, to heal. But getting curious, perhaps, going back to the beginning. Reminds me of the Coldplay song, The Scientist. Did you guys know? I just went to a Coldplay concert, my third one. Highly, highly recommend. If you're not a Coldplay fan, I highly recommend you become one. Very high vibrational beings, especially Chris Martin, the leader, the front man, the singer, and the songwriter, at least of some of the songs. I don't know if he's written all of them, but The Scientist talks about like going back to the beginning. Can we go back to the start? And then he talks about signs in progress that don't mean as much. Signs in progress don't mean as much as my heart. It's something to that effect. I don't remember the lyrics exactly, thanks to the brain fog. But he's talking about like when things were simpler at the beginning, and things are always simple at the beginning. We complicate them as human beings. So there's this desire for the masculine in particular to go back to the beginning. This will be the masculine energy present in you as well. If you're watching this, even if you say I'm a divine feminine, you're not really like you're both. You have both energies. It's just another label. It's just a label. I'm, better, you're worse. I'm taller, you're shorter. I'm male, you're female. I'm heterosexual, you're homosexual. I'm, I don't know, white, you're black. Like there's so many ways that we identify. But again, we're going through this like the identity. It's like an identity crisis. The identity. What am I? Who am I? What am I? What am I here for? How does this all like figure into the bigger picture? There's a bigger picture kind of. There's a bigger picture that wants to emerge at this time. It's interesting because we have the beginning and we have new life, and then we have a one. Very, very clear and indicative of a new door opening, okay? This is a new chapter in the Twin Flame journey. It's a new chapter for Star Season light workers out there. People, I'm seeing it in my 3D, guys. I've been sharing the snippets from my parents. I'm seeing it I saw it with my entire family, including my nephews. The youngest is 10. And I'm seeing it with friends. I'm seeing the emergence. I'm seeing the turning of the page. I'm seeing the awakenings happening. People are unplugging from the matrix more and more every single day. Pay attention because it's happening. Never say never. All I have to say, never say never. Because there are things happening. I was like, no way. That person, wow, that person's awake. Holy crap, really? That person stopped watching the news. This person is going, to a healer. What? Yeah, and the masculines are doing it too. But again, guys, I can't stress this enough. Don't attach to what your counterpart is doing, who they're with, or why. It doesn't matter. What is knowing why they chose someone else, or why they're with someone else, or why they're not choosing you, even if they're not with anybody else? How does that help you? And if it doesn't help you, then it's probably hurting you. And it's stealing, it's eating away at your time and energy. Like, doesn't matter what they're doing, or who they're with, or why, or how much time has passed. What are you doing with your time and energy? Where are you directing that time and energy? How present are you to your truth? Are you being honest with yourself? Okay. It's funny, I've only been talking for like 20 minutes. I feel like I've been talking for an hour. It's been difficult to talk, so therefore it's been difficult to create videos. So I have all these ideas. It's even difficult to write. It's difficult to formulate sentences right now. So I have all these ideas and notes written down, and the post today is an accumulation of my notes from the past like 2.5 weeks of, I had so many epiphanies on my trip and so many like sharp turns and twists on my own energy, and I wanted to share it all. I got back and I was like, oh great. And then I had a house guest, and then, you know, and then from there it was like playing catch up. And so I'm finally like, okay, let me look at what I wrote and let me formulate it into a post, you know, a coherent post. And is really important. You know, the Saturn reading that I did, that I shared on the community tab, that's one of my most important readings ever. And the, you know, the talk about, you know, the divine feminine shifting to the runner stage, this is all really important stuff. And if you notice, at my core, I'm a teacher. I'm not a tarot reader, I'm a teacher, right? I use tarot cards as a tool, as a divination tool, but I don't need them. They're beautiful and they help and they provide depth, but they're not necessary. All right, let's take an inventory here of the month of June so far. Parvati. Let's talk about that. So let's talk about that. It's, you know, it's the first thing that I see here is, well, it's like a mirror image, right? Then I also see the peacock. But then I also see, if you look closely here, it looks like there's a light or a diamond or whatever. And we talked about, right, the passing of the baton. So then could this be like that passing of the baton, the changing? It's like the changing of the guards, you know, like I got that image of the changing of the guards at Arlington National Cemetery. If you've ever been able to watch that, it's really beautiful. And it's seamless. This isn't as seamless. This has caused some ruckus. It's caused some stress for both the feminine and the masculine. It's caused, you know, some anxiety, some fears, and a sense of longing within the masculine collective. But the feminine's not really feeling that now because she's just shifted so much. But let's look a little deeper at this and see kind of how this is applying to the month of June so far. You know, it's easy to get discouraged at this point in the journey. It's easy to feel like, why am I even on this journey? Can I, like, seriously, can I just get off? Where's the off button? You know, where's the ejection button? Like, where's my parachute? Like, what is happening? Where is the end? Like, I don't see there's no end in sight. There's no peace. There's no meaning. And it's kind of like life in general. If we knew how it all ended, would that take away the meaning of the present moment? Would it take away the joy? Would it take away, would it take away the pain? Maybe, probably not. But it could take away some of the joy, because when we're surprised, when things emerge and we're surprised, that's when we really experience like the height of our emotions. When life surprises us, whether we call it positive or negative, when something happens and we're not expecting it, our door opens that we thought was closed, you know, or any number of things, that's when things get really interesting. So Parvati is the goddess of devotion, love. She's also the goddess of yoga. So for all my yogis out there, you're probably at least vaguely familiar with her, depending on your studies. This only comes up in a reading when we've got some really deep inner work that's being done or that's been done. There's a devotion right now to learning. There's a devotion for the feminine to really discovering self and peeling away more layers of self. She's really differentiating herself, individuating herself from the masculine, from the counterpart. Again, I talk about more of this in the Patreon post about how she's pulling away, what this means, what this looks like. I don't really talk about how it affects the masculine because it doesn't really matter. They're on their own journey, and they will go through what they need to go through, and the feminine is moving through what she needs to go through in order to continue to ascend, continue to step into that power. And many of you are gonna start to have new like take on new hobbies, be interested in new interests, new creative outlets, like things you're like, I'm gonna go back to painting, or I'm gonna like take swim lessons, I want to learn how to swim, or I'm gonna buy a sailboat, or and it may seem impulsive, but it's really not. It's coming from this place of devotion to self, devotion to the path. You'll know the difference, differentiate between the ego and the egoic mind trying to just cling on or hang on to something or latch on to something so you don't have to experience the feelings or the emotions. And then the difference between that and actually healing and actually doing something for the sake, like the soul is calling you towards it. You'll know. It will feel right. And it will be a part of the next chapter of your journey in some way. You're going to meet somebody, you can meet somebody important while you're taking up this new hobby, or it brings out a new side of yourself. It taps you into the inner child. Like maybe during that time, let's say it's like Monday nights, you used to like watch a show, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, that was actually pretty negative. And then you're going to this painting class instead, and you feel like you're flourishing. It's kind of like, it's like a revolution for the feminine. It's like the revolution of the beauty of life. That's not to say that every day is going to feel beautiful and everything's going to feel like rainbows and butterflies. You guys know that I'm not that kind of teacher. This is more about finding the beauty in the choices that we make, allowing ourselves to be open to new ideas, discovering parts of ourselves that maybe have been dormant or that we've never discovered before, meeting people who introduce us to these aspects of self. That's one of the most exciting things in life. You meet someone and all of a sudden they introduce you to something and you didn't even realize you had it within yourself. So when we look at Parvati, okay, and we look at her as a divine counterpart, she was in love with Shiva. And Shiva was unattainable. Shocking, right? Sounds a lot like the twin flame journey, right? Sounds familiar. So he was unattainable. She knew that he needed her to ground him, but he wasn't having any of it. Okay? But she didn't beg, she didn't plead, she didn't go into longing. Instead, she became the highest version of herself. She carried herself. And she became a yogi at a time where it wasn't really accepted for a woman to be a yogi. So she went into the mountains, she meditated, she spent time alone. She wasn't afraid of being alone. And she did this for years and years. And the story that historically has been told is that she went up into the mountains and she found this really cold stream or river, and she stood on one leg in a yoga pose, and she stood there for months, years, they don't really know, unwavering in her devotion, unwavering in her devotion to self, devotion to that inner counterpart. And what happened because of her devotion to self, not because she was like, what is Shiva doing? What is he doing? What is going on over there in his corner? But because she devoted herself to herself, the ice broke around his heart. He felt her. He felt her energy, and he had so much desire to go find her, to go be with her. And then he fell in love with her. But it was because of her strength, not because she forced him, not because she tried to convince him to be with her. She chose the higher path, and that higher path was the path to self. The higher path was the yogic path. And she committed herself to this practice. She devoted herself. She had this unwavering willpower to continue despite whatever odds were thrown against her. And she transformed herself. She became enlightened, and in doing so, she attracted her greatest love, which is really, you know, the counterpart, but it's the counterpart within, and then reflective of the counterpart outside of self. So this is really like the overarching energy of June is inner union, you know, accessing inner union, understanding the devotion to self, this new page being turned in the twin flame journey, really unprecedented times and energies, all while the world is turning, you know, outside. You look outside your door, and all while all this chaos is going on, the inflation ensues. There's, you know, talk of more shortages of food and gas prices rising, et cetera, et cetera. We have the option. We can anchor into that energy of fear and negativity, or we can anchor into the energy of hope and resiliency and determination. And honestly, if more people were able to anchor into this, we could shift things. There would be a shift in consciousness, a shift in, you know, from the matrix to this higher understanding of life, of self. It's up to us. You know, we're the change makers. We're the way showers. It's up to us. We're the light workers. Yeah, there's darkness on the planet. There's darkness within us. What do we do with that darkness? How do we eradicate the darkness? We shine our light. We don't go after the darkness. We shine our light. We don't need to compete with the darkness. All we need to do is be that which we are. So that being said, there is, you know, I didn't really expect this, guys, but there is, I was going to close out the reading, and what I'm hearing is, it's like a pleading from the masculine energy. I'm really not focused on this at this time, but I'm hearing that there is a message or two, so I'm going to entertain that. And 2 messages came out, okay. I'm trying to heal old wounds. I do not feel good enough for you. Some of you might be rolling your eyes saying, yeah, we've heard that before. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of same old, same old. This might speak to someone in particular. You might feel a lot hearing this. You may feel nothing. You may be somewhere in between. Yeah, I mean, as the feminine star rises and she accesses this inner union, it's more and more accessible to her. The masculine feels further and further away from her. She feels more and more out of reach for the masculine. So he's really desperately trying to heal these wounds. He really finds it uncomfortable to be himself right now. So as does the feminine. You know, there's a lot of sort of restless, anxious energy about circulating here. And let's see. Are there any other messages? I have family and work obligations. That's old news too. I'm not even going to take that one. I'm sorry for the way I treated you. I was acting from old patterns. Okay. I don't want to really spend too much time on the messages, guys, because really this journey is, you know, it's an inward journey. It's a self-facing journey, and it doesn't help us to like, oh, let me get a message from my twin. It feels good in the moment, but it does not help you. Sometimes it can even backtrack you. It can even make you kind of spin or reel backwards. So, but I was asked to pull those messages. It came through pretty strongly, so I did. Let's see if there's anything else that wants to come through. Let's pull a card here from the beautiful Diane Garris. By the way, this is her deck here, the integration deck. These are her cards, and these are her cards, and she's over on Etsy. She's gifted me with all of these beautiful decks, and they're the only ones I use for twin flame readings. The only ones, I mean, these are very high vibrational energy cards. Okay. Boundaries, not barriers. I feel like when I make a boundary, my twin runs or people don't like me, right? But you're asked right now, feminine, to really create that boundary and to stand by it, to stick to your guns. And then enabling, when I enable your bad behavior, I want you to love me. That's why I do it. This is some generational healing occurring for the feminine. This is about, like I talked about, trying to distract yourself from self and from healing and trying to like find that in somebody else. This pattern does not equate to healthy love returning. In fact, it's the opposite and will bring you exactly what you don't want. So this is about setting those boundaries, not enabling that unhealthy behavior from the counterpart or from anybody. Get very clear in what you're willing or not willing to do, then be okay with whatever that is. Feel that alignment deep within your soul, and then people will see that, notice it, respect it, honor it. But you have to honor it first. And do not make yourself responsible for the actions, non-actions, words, or choices of others, including the counterpart. Okay, guys, I'm about out of words. I'm feeling pretty jumbled with some of these head upgrades, but I'm sending you lots of encouragement, lots of support, and I look forward to seeing you on the next reading very soon. Take really good care, guys. All right, see you soon.